Yeah, so I've got that bit on the audio. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
so Granite Zero basically was my call sign when I was in Bastion. I was Granite Zero, which was our call sign. So any troubles on the ground, they'd go, "Hello, Granite Zero. This is whoever," and then
Charlie 1.
Charlie 1,
that's
which is
pretty
all call signs.
Call sign, man.
Yeah. So, right. So the reason why it's Granite is because my regiment's nickname is the Rock Apes. So hard rock, granite. Zero is obviously because it's the command center, but it also turns out to be my symbol of rock bottom, because obviously you've got granite, which is rock, and then zero, which is at the bottom. So that's how I was, and basically that's how it came to fruition, as it were. Little play on words, little bit of military spiel, and I've lost my fucking pillow.
Whenever I hear someone say rock bottom, I always think of a quote, and it's they say when you get the rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. So I always think of that whenever you feel like that. And obviously, I've had points in my life. I don't really class it as being depressed. I've had points in my life where I've generally gone into meltdown, sort of at the point where I'm like, I generally don't know what's going to happen, and what am I going to do? And sort of you start sort of going off in your head. And I went through a stage where I tore my rotator cuff in my shoulder, and I did it a second time, and I did it really bad twice, and the surgeons were sort of like, look, I don't know if you'll ever be able to compete again. So it's sort of I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know whether I'd be able to come back, whether I'd recover properly. So I had the surgery, and I was really low, really down, and I spent a couple of months there. And I've only ever, this is the second relationship I've ever been in. I'm 24. All the rest of it, I've just been single and sort of messing around. And my original relationship, I think that sort of what spelled the end for it, where I was really down and she just did add none of it. Like, whereas I think obviously if we were mad at the time, I think she would have handled it without a doubt. But this one just sort of, when I was like really low, when I really needed someone to be around, and I really didn't know what I was going to do in my life. And it was one of them things where since I was 13, 12, 13, I had this dream of always being a fighter. And I was 18, 19, and 18, the shattered dream sort of thing. And I didn't know what I was going to do and if I'd ever be able to do it again. And it was just sort of like toughen up, or she sort of said bye, like it wasn't enough for her. So I can really understand, and that quote really made me feel better. But when I speak to people like Mad, and obviously people like yourself, I sort of think to myself, like, my life wasn't that bad. I had people around me, and I knew exactly why I felt bad, and it only lasted until I could sort of pick myself up, and it didn't take me long. So I always, whenever I see people who really suffered and really hit that point, I always think, well, there was always somewhere, it could always be worse than where I was. And I don't think sort of, that's why I don't really class myself as ever sort of being depressed, because the way she explains stuff, I think is another gear again to it from where I was. And that's why I have so much respect for people who've managed to get through the other side. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. There's a lot of levels to it as well. Like, obviously everybody gets down and has down days. That's a thing. But it's how often they are, and what sort of grade they are as well. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit it, but I had times where I've said it on the podcast before. Even one of the people who I served with managed to comment on it, which I said to Darren earlier, which we might discuss in a minute.
No, we will discuss in a minute.
And I was literally at my lowest point, where I was in my kitchen on the floor in floods of tears. I didn't know why. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And my eldest daughter even came in and was like, "Don't worry, Daddy, it's going to be fine," and was like wiping the tears from my face and things like that. And it's just, there's different levels to it, and it's how you pick yourself up and get through it. And like I said to you a second ago, I've been going through stages where I would find the negatives in everything before I'd find the positives out of it. And it's a mindset that I've had to flip on its head. And it's little things that knock you back, and people that knock you back. But you've got to try and ignore those people, as difficult as it is. But there will always be people that try and stop you doing what you're doing, really.
Yeah.
And case in point is what I sent to Darren earlier, which he might bring up in a sec. He's got it there.
I've got it right here.
So basically,
let me put a bit of a premise on it before.
Right.
So Mace, you must being someone that's in the spotlight, being somebody that's on social media. I mean, your social media presence isn't massive. You're not one to. You're trying, I know. But no, what I mean is that you're not a massive poster. You don't post that you're at the gym at 7:30 in the morning. You don't post that. Like I'll give you an example. Like Darren Till, how he used to post was in the lead up to his fights. You'd see his sparring partners getting knocked out. No, of course. And I didn't even want to say that, but I'm just saying that like, some people post a lot on social media. But I'd say that you have had, I don't know this for a fact. I haven't even spoken to you about this before, but I'd say that you probably have your fair share of trolls that will hit up your Instagram or hit up your Twitter, hit up your Facebook, and they'll give you shit. Yeah. Before we even get onto like yours and Sean's issues, do you know Ash Amos?
I know Moss. Hi.
Yeah. His last grappling match, he posted a thing up.
Yeah, I seen it.
Yeah, well, you've seen the post. And he just asked people's opinion. People gave their opinion, and the guy came back.
Freddie.
Yeah, came back, and he was offering Ash to go down to London.
For 900 quid.
I'll give you however much money, and you can put me in the same position. I'll never tap, and blah blah. It was like, that's a classic example of like Ash wasn't even the troll. Ash was just going like, you guys make your decision. Did he tap me? Did I let go? Well, but it was more the people's the comments that people put that I started reading. And I was like, fucking hell, like, guys, have you even watched the video? But right, so going on to so Mace, have you had much dealings with internet trolls giving you shit?
Yeah, lucky enough, I'm sort of good because I'm sort of able to deal with it quite well. Just because when I was from the time I was 13 to the time I was 17, I was in the judo team. So I was in the national judo team, and I used to go away a lot and travel and compete, and I lost a lot. Like, it's one of them things, judo, I spoke to my girlfriend about it, where she was in Taekwondo, the same sort of thing. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, and I never really counted myself as naturally talented, but I did well. Like, I won national titles, won really, really good comps. I was flagged up on the British team a few times, and I should have won 2 national titles. I won 1, I should have won 2. Like I did well for myself. I was fighting against ex-Olympians and stuff, and my friend, the amount of shit I had off my friends, and when I mean shit, I mean like close to sort of abuse, sort of off my friends over certain things, like you should quit. You're obviously not good enough. All this because they just sort of didn't understand what I was doing, but it really helped because now when people do give me shit on social media and stuff, like I've dealt with it so much leading up to it, and like even my teachers in school when I'd come away and stuff, like some of my teachers, like when I told them I was going to do this full time when I left school, like they were like, "That's never going to work. You're building yourself up on false dreams. You never make anything of yourself. Like you get all this, and then having people tell you your shit and stuff, and the boys like the way they rip me and stuff. Like I think it was sort of the crucible that sort of made or broke me, and I think it sort of really helped. Is that when I do get shit on social media off people now, when you do get it, Like after my last fight, it was Mason Jones couldn't finish a wank. And all this stuff, and it was just one of the things you just laugh and you think, do you know what I mean? It's like, would they say it to you? Would no, but it's something you'll get used to. And like Darren Till, the abuse he gets for stuff, and like McGregor and stuff like that. I think it's one of the things you just have to tune it out.
Hold on, you've gone RoboCop on me.
Went off then there.
RoboCop.
You went RoboCop on me then.
What did I get to?
You got as far as Conor McGregor and Darren Till.
Yeah, so like that was basically the end of it. I said like when you get the likes of Conor McGregor and Darren Till, the abuse they get, you just have to get used to tuning it out and sort of just sort of muting them.
Yeah, I mean, when Sean first started this podcast, he obviously had a lot of support from his close mates.
Yeah,
and
a lot of grief.
Not even a lot of grief, but it's enough grief, if you know what I mean. Like two maybe disgruntled people that were in the same regiment
at that time.
Yeah. So at the time, like, I don't manage any of Sean's social media anymore. But at the time, I was on his social media, so
he was filtering.
I'm quite shit on, like, if my phone goes off, check it and see what's going on. And a couple of messages came through, or a couple of comments came through from either Twitter or Instagram, and I was like, just straight away then, I'd message Sean and be like, "Who the fuck's this guy?" Not even in the like, because I'm completely disconnected from it. Like, all I see is Sean's posted something along the lines of, "I'm doing this. This is my way of getting through PTSD," and you get like a paragraph of abuse from somebody, and it'd be like, what the fuck's this then? So I read through it and I go, right, Sean, who's this guy? And it's like, oh yeah, he was he served in the same regiment as me. I was like, yeah, well, he said this. And then Sean would read it, and it obviously got Sean down at the time. I was like, well, don't get down for a start. But that's easy for me to say. Yeah. Because I read it and I'm like, well, he's a dick. The guy's clearly a prick. And don't get me wrong, mate. I've seen comments like you said, like Mason Jones couldn't finish a wank. It's like, mate, if you put anybody in a cage with you that has even had the tiniest bit of experience of fighting, they're not only going to sleep, they're going to sleep in a bad way. And Sean was getting comments like you've never been diagnosed with PTSD, you've never been diagnosed with depression, you've never been diagnosed with anxiety. And I was reading that as his brother going, well, hang on a minute, mate. I know he's been to the doctor. I know he's now having to take fucking medication. I know, like, I've been his go-to phone call, and it was very hard for me not to, like, I've always said to Sean, don't engage with them if they're using social media. Don't engage. If you want to read it, but don't engage with them. And it did take Sean a few months to not engage. And Sean recently reinstalled Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And
I haven't used it for like over a year.
Well, more than a year, I'd say. More than a year.
Yeah.
So he reinstalled Facebook Messenger because obviously he gets messages through the Granite Zero page now, which is what he uses Facebook for. A bit like if you, I don't know, have you got a fan page?
Yeah, fan page, but my brother and my uncle filter most of the messages anyway, because I don't like really speaking to people.
And that's fair. That's absolutely fair enough. But like, he's obviously reinstalled the Facebook Messenger app because you can get the messages from the page to the messenger. And he discovered this absolute. For the video podcast, where there now potentially is a video podcast. That's all I'm going to do. There's an absolute peach. From April last year, I'm going to have to bring it up. Here we go. Current events.
The phone's out.
Current events.
I'm the kid. Current events.
Right, so the first message from John Smith.
Couldn't be a more bog standard name.
It's the most average name that you've ever heard in your
real
life.
name.
He is extra smooth.
No, we'll get to that, Mace. We'll get to that.
Extra smooth, mate.
Sorry, Grumpy's calling me, by the way, Sean. Right, so John Smith. I hear the Warlord is meant to be doing a tab. What a laughing stock. Your spine will fall out your arse, you soppy flannel fuck, Sean Tomo Thompson, and the Warlord Marriott. That's the first message.
That's brilliant English.
It's terrible English, but also
By the way, for those of you who didn't serve, a tab is a tactical advance to battle, basically a loaded march.
Oh, right, yeah.
And also, Sean, on the 11th of May, was talking about doing a charity tab from where he lives now to Bury St Edmunds, where he was based. So the next one. So after,
these are brilliant. To be fair,
I've been waiting all day for these. So there's I think. Oh no, it won't twist enough.
Is it going to glow?
Oh, it's glowing.
Is it glowing?
Yeah,
it's glowing.
Yeah, it's glowing. Well, there's a picture of Sean with his top off, which no one wants to see. Mace, you might not know this because you haven't got any kids, have you?
No.
Do you know who the Gruffalo is?
Yeah. I know the.
Everyone knows
Gruffalo. Like it was a film, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a film, and
it's at the end of his nose.
It's a kid's book, basically. It's Sean doing a fighter stance like this
to the Gruffalo.
Gruffalo.
For the kids, wasn't it?
Yeah. And John Smith puts, so after days of waiting, it seems that Sean Tomo Thompson will not reply to messages. Exposed you're a Walt. So a Walter Mitty is somebody that pretends they were in the forces. You don't have PTSD and you should be damn, not spelt right, DAM, that's wrong. Damn right, ashamed of yourself for breaking down in your kitchen. Fucking embarrassment to my eyes, you fat, useless cunt. Maybe it was this that gave your self-proclaimed PTSD. Fuck you and your minions. On the Warlord.
Why the Warlord?
I don't know. But also...
Is he like signing off and calling himself the Warlord or what?
No. Next one.
We got more.
This is the best one. This got me pumped to come.
Pumped to come. Is that fucking now? It is now. Pumped to come is now a saying.
Right. He's put in asterisks, food for thought. A Viking. Wait. You got to hear this because it's so fucking funny. Food for thought in asterisks. A Viking also the I in Viking is a capital, so you're clearly a mental person because you can't do basic English. A Viking goes away, sailing stormy seas in a wooden boat, sailing their enemies by hand. A gunner goes away and slays instead of spends, stupid, hours staring into the night sky of a bliss Afghan desert, watching a C-130 depart. Who had PTSD? Chris Marriott, Sean Thompson. You ain't no Viking. You ain't no PTSD.
That makes sense.
Hashtag get off the bandwagon. Hashtag stop trying to steal funds. Hashtag real Robin Hoods here. Hashtag I pity fools. Right. Anybody that's listening to this podcast from now on, if you use a hashtag, it has to be a relative hashtag, not one of those was.
Yeah, but you can't hashtag in a message anyway. Who is it? Come on, drop a name.
John Smith. That's all we got, and he's got. And
that's the real name. Surely.
But the best thing about it, mate, is he's called John Smith, and he's claiming to be ex-military or military, and he's got a picture of Che Guevara, a communist.
Honestly.
Also,
he's mental.
No
he's mental.
Friends.
Yeah.
No
oh yeah.
So,
yeah. So I've got a form of OCD, and something like this. Sean sent me this. I was like, I need to find out what the fuck's going on.
Did you message him back at all?
Nah.
He didn't even know. He didn't even know he messaged him.
No,
but
did you, Darren?
No. I was close to, but then I did my OCD thing, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, let's check this guy out. So, like, there's loads of messages on it and statuses, and he was on about taking Sean to court and doing all sorts. Not actual court, just a court that he's created in his head. And I said to Sean, I won't name the guy, but it reminded me of one of my friends who's got bipolar. And when he was manic, he used to make up so much bollocks.
Yeah.
Like, he used to literally, he'd come to where me and Sean worked at the time, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm going to do some security for Lily Allen.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell. One thing I will say, though, Sean, do you know what I got from that message?
Say again, sorry?
Do you know what I've got from that message?
Go for it.
That guy's watched every one of your podcasts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I said the same
thing. He watched every one. So at the end of the day, mate, if he wasn't enjoying it and he wasn't coming back to watch more, he would stop watching them. So this is the thing, like, right? So the best quote I've ever had when it comes to stuff like this, and the reason I don't message back is I love quotes because whenever I get stressed or something comes up, if I remember a quote, it helps sort of send me a lot. And it's when dogs bark at the moon, no one notices, but if the moon barked back, everyone would. And the bigger the podcast gets, that's something you'll have to think of. And
I like that, Mason. I like that.
Idiots go off on you all the time. No one will pay any attention to it. But if you end up going off back at them, everyone notices. It's the same with like celebrities more than anything else. If a celebrity goes off with someone on Twitter, you made a day because you've drawn attention to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Ricky Gervais is good. Ricky Gervais is good, but I was going to say, Mace, is when Sean first started, and he had messages like this, it was quite hard because he clearly started the podcast
because he wasn't in a good place.
Because he wasn't in a good place, and it was something that he thought might help, and then all of a sudden he had. I mean, this guy might have been the guy that was, but he had some quite horrible messages, and you only have to go back about 6 episodes, and it broke down why Sean actually might have PTSD, and I don't mind bringing it up. Sean probably doesn't want me to, but basically, Sean's job was a signaller, and No, he's not in the position that Marshman was, or a few of my mates were when they were paratroopers in the front line. But he got the call over the radio saying, basically, your mate's just had his fucking legs blown off. Now, he hasn't had his legs blown off, but he's got to deal with that over the phone and worry about his mate, worry about he's got to still do his job. And you don't know how that affects somebody. And initially, when those trolls were going, and I'll call them trolls because I mean they did serve with Sean, the guys who were saying it. When they were going off, my only advice to Sean was like, just fucking don't even read it, mate. Leave it to me. If it needs, if it needs responding to, I'll deal with it. If not, we'll just ignore it. But it's got to be hard. Like, well, Sean could probably tell us now. Like, it's got to be hard. Somebody you served with. It's call it. I mean, this guy, whoever this guy is, because we don't know who he is.
Obviously.
Sorry, we all went RoboCop.
They were a bit robot-y there, but you're brought up in your regiments and that you're all brothers basically, because you spend that much time with each other. You're in each other's pockets. You're supposed to be there for each other. You're supposed to be
die for each other.
As my warrant officer once said, it's one of the like hashtags that I use is we're one team of which one effort, and that's supposed to stay the same until even when you leave. It's supposed to be a brotherhood, and when your inverted commas brothers turn on you for no apparent reason, then because you want to do something, you want to do something to help others, not just yourself. It's like I've said countless times that this podcast isn't just about me. It is about my journey through it. But obviously, like today, we're discussing other topics and whatnot, and it's my way of showing people that it's okay. You can just be a regular guy. You can have depression, but I can sit and have a normal chat with you and get through it. But when your so-called mates turn on you, you're like, fucking hell, I spent 7 months on tour with you, and now you're, instead of coming to me and saying, like, sending me
I don't like what you're doing,
if I'm all right, you're just going to dig me out on social media. And what the real hardest thing was, I've been suffering through it for a while. I never really understood what was going on with myself, but a few years back, like I mentioned earlier, one of my friends took his own life. He was suffering really bad through PTSD. His missus lost her life through I'm not sure if it's ovarian cancer, if that's the actual name of it.
That's the one I think.
Yeah. She passed away through cancer. He couldn't deal with it, so he took his own life. And he's another person who was serving on the same squadron as me, suffering through a similar condition. His PTSD might be a bit more severe than what mine is, and my depression is obviously was because he took his own life. But as soon as I mentioned his name on the podcast, I got another bit of abuse that I shouldn't mention his name and things like that. It's like, Jesus Christ, if nobody's going to talk about this sort of stuff, it's all going to get unnoticed, and then the numbers are going to go higher, and it's just a shit show basically. So I just don't understand the where it comes from, where people think it's okay to then notice that someone's not all right, but then just to attack them anyway. It's just, instead of like going, "Oh, are you all right though, mate?" Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hurl abuse at you because I'm a fucking uber thunder cunt.
Thunder cunt.
Put it nicely.
Mason's not used to this. Usually he's got to be
PG.
Oh, he's got
PG-13.
PG-13 on his YouTube interviews.
No, but big thing is though, at the end of the day, Sean, like depression, anxiety, PTSD, suicidal thoughts, all that stuff. That's personal. Like that's not some like we. Unfortunately, we both know a number of people that have had injuries and been in situations in the Middle East, including yourself, that I don't know how to deal with myself. And Mason, you've probably had plenty of people in your life, including your girlfriend that you've recently spoke about, that are struggling with their mental health.
Sorry.
I'll tell you something about the mental health bit in a minute. But the thing is, like, none of us know what somebody else is going through. If you know what I mean? Like, you mentioned earlier, Sean, that I'd had a friend. I haven't had a friend. I've had 6 friends that have killed themselves. That's
a lot.
That's a lot.
And
only 2 of them were close.
Yeah.
But there's still 6 people that I've either played football with or worked with or whatever. But it's 6 people, and it's a terrible thing that people that are supposed to be your friends. So, Mace, can you imagine like people that you train in the gym with day in, day out? All of a sudden you decide that you just put out there that you're having a bad time. They rip you and they troll you. It's like friends, people that you train with, that you roll with. It's a different thing, I know, with when you roll with somebody, you get a special relationship with. It's not gay because you don't make eye contact, but but you know what I mean? Like, imagine like some of the boys down at the gym just all of a sudden start ripping you, and that'd be awful. That'd be worse than somebody you didn't know.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
listen to you on this podcast. That all of a sudden start slating you.
There's ways about it, because obviously you can have that little bit of banter, like my close mates. We've all got dark sense of humour, so we can all take a piss. We know when you're taking a piss.
Yeah, it's different.
Know it's time to. You also like with my mate Anders, who my best mate. He's now a paramedic, and he's been suffering. He doesn't mind me saying. I would take the piss out of him. I'd say he's got a head like a fucking orange and all that sort of stuff. Give him all the fucking shit. But as soon as he says, "Look, I'm having a bad day," straight away it's a FaceTime or a phone call. Are you right, mate? Come on, talk about it. That's how it's supposed to be. I can take the banter, sure, but
my friends are really dark. Like they'll rip each other. Like one of the boys, like they'll rip each other about like cancer jokes and all sorts. Like my friends are dark. Like they are unbelievably dark. And
I think all of our friends are dark.
Yeah, but like this is the thing. Like whenever we worried about one of the boys, it's always straight away they're like, "Look, we're worried about him." Like I told you about my friend who's in the Navy who struggled. Like I went to see his mum. Like we were talking about it, and because he wasn't being honest with us, and I think he felt a bit ashamed to be honest with us, and we sort of weren't hearing a lot of it. I got fed up, so I just went and seen his mum and said, "Look, we're really worried about him. We all know he's struggling, and we know he's definitely keeping it from a few of us. Like, is he keeping it from you?" And she was just generally like, she knew he was sort of there, but she just thought he was just gonna perk back up one day. She was like, she didn't understand, because I know when he went and away, he did make an effort to kill himself as well. So I'm quite glad, obviously, he didn't
He
go through
didn't.
it.
Yeah.
He didn't end up anywhere worse than he was. He said he just sort of come around and was sick everywhere, and he swallowed a load of tablets, managed to spew a lot of them up. But it's not something you like to hear, and it's one of them things like you always think like if it had gone wrong, like would it have been anything to do with me as well? Because obviously he felt at one point that he couldn't be open enough with us, and does that mean we're shit friends? Do you know what I mean? So it does affect other people, and you do want to be there for them, and sort of I think it's really opened my eyes being with Mad, and obviously having friends who've gone through it, and it sort of opens your eyes to it more. And I know boys through the sport who really struggle with different things. One of the boys I grew up with, when I was in the judo team, like we lived down there for most of the week, so I was living with boys, sort of like dorming with them like Monday through to Friday. And one of the boys is only 2 years old than me. He died from brain cancer a few years ago. He died at 25, and we've seen him decline, and he ended up in hell of a mess before he died. And seeing the way his family and all had to go through that, and we've had boys who young randomly died. Like I haven't had many. We haven't that. Thank God that none of my friends or any of the boys I've really been close to or people I've grown up with, none of them, as I know, have killed themselves, because I think that's obviously a lot harder to deal with than when they accidentally, when obviously something comes up unexpected. But death is hard to deal with, and it's when you see people around you who are suffering and really getting pulled down, it's really hard to deal with.
Definitely.
I did read something the other day, and anybody that is listening to Sean's podcast,
I think
that
I've
is
got about now.
we got 2 listeners. We got 2 listeners now. No, hang on. We got 1, 2,
and John Smith.
We got 5. We got 5.
Don't forget John Smith.
I did see a post on, it was either Facebook or Instagram, and I meant to send it to you, Sean, so you could say it, but I'll say it now because obviously impossible. Was that any of my friends that are like getting to that point where they're feeling suicidal or whatever, I'd rather listen to your problems than listen to your eulogy.
I like that. Good one, that.
It was a really good post, actually. I read that and I was like, that's so fucking true.
Yeah.
But, and on that note, the producer has taken this sideways. Current events.
I'll say one thing on that one thing that obviously for anyone who's obviously watching, if you don't want to speak to your family or your friends about it, or if you feel like you can't speak to anyone, I'm always active on Instagram. It's the best way to get a hold of me. Drop me a message. I'm willing to chat all the time. I don't really have anything to do. I just train through the day now and again, so I always got a lot of free time on my hands. So drop me a message and we can have a chat. And like I said, I'm always willing to chat, and I'm always there to help if I possibly can. And I don't really understand, but I try my best.
I'll second that. I'll second that. You are pretty quick at replying on Instagram, to be fair.
Instagram, I see. It's the only thing my notifications off. Facebook's off. My Facebook messages off a lot of the time. Twitter, I don't really get that much through. But Instagram, I'm pretty sharp on. Do you know what I mean? So if you want to drop me a message, feel free.
I sent him the message, and it was like within seconds. I was like, fucking hell. I wasn't even expecting a fucking reply.
I was on my phone at that point, to be fair. I was on my phone, so you was lucky it come straight through. But normally I'm quite good on the old Instagram.
Right, so
current events.
Right, bananas on a wall. What do you guys think?
What?
Yeah, I second what?
You don't know about that?
We didn't know what you said.
A banana. Oh, we roboted.
Right, banana.
Right, a banana on a wall. Sellotaped. Have we not seen that?
No.
Why are you selling what?
Right, so a banana sellotaped to a wall sold for $120,000.
Fuck off.
Well, what are you going to do when the banana goes off? Like?
Right.
put this fucking stuff up just piss me off. It's not a real thing.
It is a real thing. I'll show you.
Made that up.
It is a real thing. No, it's art, mate.
Who bought it?
Mate, I genuinely couldn't think of anything else. Like, hang on, let me reply to my missus.
Right. No. Who bought it? No.
Sorry.
Here you go. Sky News. Sky
Oh,
News.
Sky News. Can't see
Can you
it.
see that?
Glowing. Turn your brightness down.
My missus, all I can see is the logos.
Yeah, right. Now
There we
get
go.
rid of
That's
that.
Darren now.
There you go.
Banana. Oh, come on.
Right. He's got too much money then, if anything.
And guess what happened?
He ate it.
Somebody came up and ate it.
Shut up.
Yeah, they did. Somebody went up and ate it. But the artist
That's
apparently...
the bank thief.
Wait. The artist didn't... Still got paid because the concept was there.
Oh.
Girlfriend,
No,
yeah.
We got a new guest. We got the fourth guest.
Fourth guest, yeah. So I'll pass you over a minute.
I'm winning. Being alive.
Hello, right.
Hiya.
Hello. All right, okay. Have you shown the doggy?
Yeah.
Yeah, good girl.
We saw the little dog.
Yeah, introduce yourselves. I'm Madison. Nice to meet you.
We'll introduce ourselves then.
yeah.
We've only been talking for 7 hours.
Oh, God. That's him, that is. You can't shut him up.
I think
Madison.
Oh, sorry. Get down, babe. Sorry. Has he bored you to death, have he?
No, we just got into current events.
We're on current events talking about bananas.
Oh, God. He'll talk about anything. He can. He won't shut up, man.
So, Madison, would you ever buy a banana sellotape to a wall for 120,000 quid?
No.
Well, it happened. It happened earlier this week.
People do crazy
Apparently,
things,
it's art.
don't they?
Literally breaking news. That man's a dickhead.
No, that you should have introduced them for me. You just left us to it.
Right, so Sean's on the bottom. It's Sean's podcast, and Darren on top is from Beach Boys.
Oh, amazing! We love Beefy Boy. It's our favourite.
I know.
We're there all the time. We're there too much, wasn't it? Just water.
No.
You keep trying to sneak in, though, I've heard.
Yeah, I know. They say, like, let us know. We're like,
So, I mentioned to Mad, obviously, he was talking a lot about mental health and stuff, and she said she was quite keen to talk. So, I don't know if you want to say anything, Sean. Obviously, you want to have a quick combo or anything like that.
Yeah, you can do.
Yeah.
On. Yeah,
Madison, would you like?
Names to the title of the show now.
Would you like to do a? Well, would you be willing to do a sit down with me and Sean and Mason?
yeah, definitely.
And talk about what the fuck was going on with you at some point.
What the fuck?
Yeah, whatever
What the
fuck's in
fuck?
your head. Yeah, definitely. That sounds brilliant. That sounds fab. When Mace mentioned it, I really love that. I love people. I like just talking about it. I think the more you talk about it, the less it feels like the most daunting thing in the entire world. So I think it's a really fab idea. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
We'll
I love
definitely
that.
have you on anyway. Definitely
Yeah,
have you on the show.
I think you deserve your own episode.
Oh,
You've come in all full of beans, and I'm just not
We were
sure
white-
how much time
we-
we've got left.
We were winding down.
We're winding down. We're doing some current events, and you came in at like fucking.
So,
I usually just referred to as Mason's
Welsh
missing, so
superhero.
it'd be nice.
Right, so carry on with current events. You can join in as well. What about Boris getting stuck in a fridge?
Hiding from press, wouldn't he?
What, in a fridge?
Apparently, he hid in the fridge, not to have an interview, apparently.
pick somewhere better.
That's what they're going to start doing every time you say you want another interview.
But you're the Prime Minister. You're the Prime Minister. Have a panic room.
Right. Is this like I'm guessing it's some sort of industrial size fridge. You didn't just get into your bog standard Bosch fridge.
He's
Well,
a big
he's
boy.
not.
He's a big boy. I can't imagine he'd fit in one of them.
He definitely couldn't fit in a bog standard Bosch.
He might.
There are other
He
fridges
might fit in a
available.
Smeg.
The Smeg fridges. I took a photo of that once because I'm that sad. I was laughing at that for a good half hour. When we were moving house and we were looking for fridges, and then there was Smeg, and I was like, Smeg. Took me a while to get off that train. What's next?
Right.
Hit me.
Mason, what's your take on Colby?
Covington. Well,
Yeah.
I've never liked him. I never did. And then I seen an interview on him this week, and it sort of changed my opinion. And it was where he come out and basically said that the whole reason he started sort of being arrogant and sort of reacting the way he did was because they were going to cut him before the Brazil fight. And they said, look, whether you win or lose, we're getting rid of you. We don't like your style. We don't like the way you act, because he was just really quiet and like just all about training. And he fought, and after the fight, all the Brazilians have been booing him because he was fighting a Brazilian, and he called them all filthy animals and said that he'd never coming back to Brazil, and Brazil was a shithole. And you can imagine it went down well with a Brazilian crowd. And he said he walked backstage and they offered him a new contract. So after that, he was all make America great again and calling people pussies and all sorts of stuff going on. Billy Big Balls.
So bring the title back to the Oval Office.
Yeah, that one. The interim title. The interim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the full title, is it?
I don't count.
They love
Mason, I feel like I know the answer to this, but you a football fan?
What do you think?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, it's a hard no. I'm
no.
more of a football fan than he is. I explained the rules to him.
So this is my little
Madison
room we're in now. Let me flip it and see if I can show you. So he's got like football posters everywhere. Do you mean he's all like football mad? Every one of my brothers are all mental when it comes to football. Oh shit, wrong one. Hang on. There we go.
You look like
me.
That looked like your missus was choking that dog to death.
Cuddles to death, that is.
Don't say that. Look how cute she is.
My brothers are all football mad. My brothers are all football mad. I've never been really into it sort of thing. Obviously, I don't mind watching and stuff, but I don't really sit at home and watch games or support teams.
You don't follow a team then at all?
No, not at all. No, I support Cardiff whenever they play, just because it's a local team, and I have a couple of friends who played lower level and sort of semi-pro with Cardiff and different things, and made their way through. And I don't really enjoy it so much. I'm more violent than I am football.
Well, you're in the right profession, mate. To be fair, I feel like I need to go and get my dog to go and show you the beast. But
God, what is it?
I'll show you in a minute. And if you say he's a husky, honestly, I'm sitting out on our next interview.
Malamute.
Yeah, he's a Malamute. Yeah.
I got mauled like after death by a Malamute when I was a baby, but they're lush.
When she means baby, she means how old are you? 5. So not quite a big baby, but she's got a lovely scar on her arm.
From a Malamute.
Yeah, it was my
Fucking
own one, and it was like.
Whoa, keep this for the podcast you do, because that's another brilliant story.
Yeah. We'll keep that.
Stop introducing. Interrupted mine, do you know what I mean?
He's getting jealous.
Do you know what I mean? I'll just leave the room, go back downstairs.
All you dog lovers, there's me with my fucking cat. I got outnumbered by the 3 women in my house.
Mason is not happy with that. Cat.
Nah.
I like the dog you want.
I was like, can I get a dog? No. Okay. No. Getting a cat. Can it be at least a boy cat? No.
No.
So that's why I live in a shed.
We look at my baby cousin sometimes, and he always calls our dog Bad Kitty. So if that makes you feel better, he goes Bad Kitty. Bad Kitty.
Fair one, like.
So Saf, Mad's got Saf, who's a little Frenchie, and then her parents got 2 boxes, and her sister's got a boxer.
Yeah,
so
it's wild.
Madhouse.
It's wild, isn't it?
My cat decided to bring a mouse in yesterday. That was fun.
Oh no!
Did you give it? Did you give it?
She was toying with it,
Oh.
meowing at me.
Oh.
But then I talk to it like it's a human. It's like she comes in. I'm like, Blossom, what are you doing? And she
I know.
looks at me like, I'm a wild animal. I'm bringing home my dinner.
But they know what they say. They know what you're saying, so you should speak to them in full sentences, because otherwise you make them feel stupid. They know what you're saying.
Darren, I'm exactly the same as you, but even Sean's looking like, oh, yeah.
They do.
Oh, you asked to do a podcast in that case, mate. You asked to do a full one.
Tell you what,
I can't wait. I genuinely can't wait.
You get on well with my missus, right? So we went on holiday. We went to Amsterdam last week. That's why there was no episode last week.
I'll let you carry on with this. Don't turn me off. I'm just going to go for a wee and I'll go get Jack.
Yeah.
All right. She pulled out some absolute doozies on me. So the first one was we were watching the TV series on Netflix, The Crown. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was the episode where Prince Philip meets the astronauts that went to the moon. And so she was asking me why, if they're walking on the moon, don't they fall off? And I said, well, gravity, obviously. The moon still has some sort of gravity, which she then looked at me like I was an idiot, like I was the idiot. And then I said to her, you do know how gravity works? And she sort of looked at me funny. I went, well, how do you think we get to Australia and things? Do you think the Earth's flat like some people do? Fair play to him. And her reaction was literally, she just used her arm and went like that. And I was like, so you think we go through the Earth to get to Australia? She was then looked at me as if to go, oh, I've said something stupid now. It's like, fucking, the way her mind works is brilliant. And then the next one was, bearing in mind we're in Amsterdam at the minute, I'm sat listening to Oasis on my headphones, and she basically sends me a text. She's opposite me, but sends me a text because we're on the train. And I look at it, and it says, in a serious question, what country are we in? Are we in Holland or the Netherlands?
Oh, love it. Oh.
What did you say?
What did I say to that?
Yeah, what did you actually say to that? Because if Mad did that to me, I think I'd just look at it and just be like...
I basically gave that look and I went, are you taking the piss? And she said, no, I'm not.
That's weird.
And I just literally looked at her and I went, I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. Google it.
So, Mad's highly intelligent, as I have told you, but she's come out with some crackers.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, some absolute crackers that they just look at you and just go.
Don't get me wrong. My missus she's switched on in certain things. Like she's a very, very talented hairdresser. Like I know it's a fucking brilliant skill. Everybody needs a haircut, but you know, she can do all that all day. But then there's these, like even to the extent where she basically got the house for us because she's fucking switched on with the mortgage and all that sort of shit.
But the one-liners.
But she then says things like, I didn't realise ducks could fly and shit like that. And it's like, I produced 2 beautiful angels with you. Hopefully they don't get that side of your genes.
Produced in you. Christ.
My main little comment I say to her is like, I married that. That is literally it. She'll say something, and I go, I married that.
Oh God.
We
You
had
both
some
Oasis
brilliant
fans,
times in Amsterdam. We had some brilliant times, like. But before we left, she was having a chat with one of my mates, and the only way to describe my mate, he's a former gunner like myself, is if I met him now, I don't think we would be friends. I've got a pretty dark sense of humour, but he is now at that level where you have to, if you're introducing him to people, you have to warn them about him. He's that bad. And he convinced my missus that
Oh no.
Anne Frank's house was a brothel.
Oh. Oh.
And she believed it. She believed it. And then until she spoke to me, and I went, no, that's not the case. And then he convinced her that Anne Frank hid from the Germans so she didn't have to pay rent or her electricity bill.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
She had to pay rent. Let me put some in charge.
That is so funny. Oh, I love
That
it.
is the type of stuff that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But she, in all fairness, she's my rock. She's the one that's kept me fucking on the straight and narrow. So.
Oh, Lush.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that's the case with me and Mace, but I think I'd be in a ditch somewhere if he didn't pick me up all the time.
Put him in a ditch. Well, everybody needs their rock in their life, don't they? So, yeah.
But I get him from A to B. I'm basically his PA, so I'm like, shouldn't you be somewhere? He's like, oh, shall I?
Brilliant.
What are you doing?
I heard you mention Oasis. You two massive Oasis fans, then?
Oh, yeah, we love Oasis. Like, unfortunately, I never got to see them live or anything like that before they disbanded, which is a shame. But Darren went to see Liam Gallagher with Jack.
I see the poster.
Yeah, he went. I don't get to do anything good like that. I'm like, fucking hell. By the time I discover he's on tour or whatever, it's already sold out. I'm like, useless. But yeah, literally at work, because all I do at work, I'm a security officer now, so all I do is drive about a site all day in my car. So I literally put it on the old Spotify and just blast out tunes all day, singing to myself. Day in the life of Tomo.
Yeah, you should be in study a podcast. You should just do days in the life.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll give you due warning as well. When you do a podcast with Mad, I guarantee you she'll cry at least once.
Probably about the dog.
No, he had me a little bit with one of his stories, and I was close, so I think you'll be gone. So.
Oh no.
Sean, she's a crier.
I'm the most emotional person in the world at the minute.
Do you cry when other people cry like mad, then?
I get the old lumpy throat, put it that way.
I watched X Factor, the band. It's that new thing they're doing, right? And there was this young girl, and just the way she ran and hugged her mum, like, I was like, oh my God, like, she was probably giving her mum like a squeeze. I was like, can't watch.
I'm not that bad, no. A few things will get me, like, but yeah, since having the girls, I'm far more emotional than I've ever
my
been.
Dad's like that. My dad reckons since he had kids, everything makes him cry.
Yeah, it's madness. Like before I had the girls, I was like I said to Mace, like I was out fighting, doing all sorts, and being Jack the lads, like basically dead inside. And then the eldest came along, Jess, and I was like, fucking hell. Then Sophia came along, and now I'm just a blubbering idiot. There he is.
Oh my gosh, so cute.
The size of that fucking dog's head is ridiculous.
Oh my God. Sappy, look. Can you see him? Sappy, look.
You are literally being mean though, Darren. Where's Jerry?
Who's Jerry?
Jerry's
the old man's dog.
Jerry's he can't get upstairs very well.
No,
What is he?
He's too
He's a Springer Collie.
Oh, Oh, look. Safi, look who's on there. Can you see? Who's that?
Hey, Sean, this is a first, isn't it? The dog cast.
This is.
Is he handsome?
There was 3 of us. Now there's
He's
six.
technically been on the old podcast before, howling and shit.
Yeah, he was howling.
Is this her debut? This is her podcast debut.
Yeah, we're.
Oh my
podcast
gosh.
Oh, Paul.
I can't believe he's being very much like a puppy at the moment.
Oh
I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
The size of his head. Mace, we could have him. We could have
Oh
him.
no, look at him. Don't even care, love it.
I had a Malamute for 11 years, I think.
Smiling
And,
away.
She
Yeah.
passed away not long ago, but I used to love, I loved her to death. I sort of went with her when she had to get seen off. So yeah, we was close for years. So I love Malamutes. They literally they make me crease so much. And every time the ambulance would come past, she'd be in the middle of the garden just howling.
Howling, yeah.
Stop.
We had him howling the other week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Any old iron.
Is that it? That's what sets him off. What's he like? The
Yeah.
ambulance and stuff like. She used to match the ambulance I run like the wow 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 like
He-
that.
That's a really
He probably
good
would. We don't get we don't get many ambulances around here. But probably 4 times a year you get the old iron man coming around asking for any old iron
He goes mental.
and blowing. Yeah, he goes absolutely
I
fuck
have
it.
one of
Like,
them every Sunday morning. Relentless. Every Sunday morning.
It's not for me yet.
where do you live?
Abergavenny.
That's not far from Hereford, is it?
About 40 minutes. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every Sunday, 10 a.m. Oh.
I'm in Blackburn, but I'm on a hill.
You must have-
We just get the jippos around here coming for it. Is that politically correct to say jippos?
Yeah, it is, Sean. You want to get yourself kicked off social media by saying
They like
Jippos. He has a good
Aaron
review,
always-
so,
Aaron always he throws the fucking transgender stuff at me all the time. I swear he's trying to get me kicked off.
Well,
So
come on, Jack.
when we had gates fitted at the bottom of the hill to the house, and they fitted these new gates, and I think they were up 2 days, and they got stolen by the travellers. 2 days. They managed to cut the gates off and steal them and wear them in.
Fucking love it, don't they?
Sorry.
My dad is tamping.
Oh, right. Let's have a quick look. Right, so we got past Boris Johnson hiding in the fridge.
Current news they do.
Current affairs.
I thought I saved these.
Come on.
Darren, man.
Some of us got to get up at past 4, you fucker.
Oof.
Mad doesn't like mornings, so I'm really good in mornings. I
Oh
just
my
get up and
God.
go. And Mad has about 9 alarms. She gets up for 6:30 in the morning, right, to get ready for uni. And it's 9 alarms, lights go on, makeup's on. I don't have to get up till like 8 sometimes, and she's just on, like the alarm's going off and off and off. And in the end, I'm like, "You gonna get up or?"
That's like Kate.
I'm not gonna lie, mate. That is the same in my house.
And mine.
Yeah.
One alarm.
That's
I'm up,
exactly
I'm
the
up,
same.
One alarm.
Right.
I'm done. I'm
I'm
up.
going to throw this one out here. I'm like a fucking ninja. So my alarm will go off. It's off. I'm then getting dressed in the dark.
Same as me.
And then I'm out the door on the push bike off to work.
Oh, you cycle to work.
Fucking missus is at work and I'm fucking lights are on, hair dryer's going. It's like, are you taking the piss?
I hate mornings. I honestly, it doesn't matter how much I try and be positive. I roll over and it takes everything in me not to stay there. Everything, every morning. That's draining. That is.
So if you imagine, right, Hitler personified, that is mad in morning.
I am horrible. I am aware, but I always say sorry as I leave. I'm like, okay, sorry, love you.
So like Generally now, right? She probably, if you caught her just when she woke up, she could probably be talking to gas in the whole race of people.
Just
Well, that's
you.
interesting.
It wouldn't be
I'm
anyone else,
interested in
just
that.
you.
There we go. That's a new one for the podcast.
I had a topic. I lost it.
Right, come on. Admin, not dirty words.
Excuse me. It's your podcast.
Oh, I will when I get my equipment from the fucking benevolent fund.
Sean, you need
what?
a new production manager. This one's broke, I think.
This one's broken.
You're the producer. I'm talent. You should know the gen by now.
Excuse me. Oh, I got it. I remember writing this. Yeah, write this one down. It's the time of year where celebrities that are parents die.
What?
I took a dark turn.
Yeah, so it's
As
that
in
time of
die?
year. Yeah, so celebrities that were cool when our parents were old. Well, not old, but when our parents were kicking around,
Young.
they start dying.
Okay.
And it's already started. So you had do you know Roxette?
Yeah.
Heard of that band? No? I bet you have. Lead
24
singer. Yeah, I bet you've still heard the songs. So Marie Fredriksson died this week.
Who?
Marie Fredriksson from Roxette. I'll find it. It'll probably get skipped off YouTube.
Is he on now too?
Huh?
Oh, Christ.
Oh, don't worry. I get worse than that. And also Jim Smith. Do you remember Jim Smith, Sean?
Is he the brother of John Smith?
Well, no.
When he started the podcast,
everything. Jim Smith was the Derby County manager when they were still in the Premier League. Bold guy.
In the baseball ground.
Yes. He died today. So it's starting again. And I reckon there's a trend. As soon as you get to November, people over the age of like 55
it's the winter though.
Start dying. They start dying.
Cold kills people
Only
though.
if they're famous.
I've got to find a. Say again.
Only if they're famous.
Well, they still die anyway, but you just don't know about it.
Oh.
The cold kills people off, man. You have older people start getting cold and dying down the stairs.
Unless you're in a shed with a giant fire, you'll be fine.
He's in the shed.
Right, I found this. I have to wait for the advert, obviously.
Mate.
They say it's a brilliant song.
Oh, must have been love, but it's over now.
Oh, great song.
Yeah, she's dead.
Oh,
Yeah. She died today.
Great.
well dead.
She died today.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Family.
So we've done the bananas. We've done like people getting old and dying. We've done Boris in a fridge.
Boris in a fridge. I saw a photo earlier of Boris pouring a pint next to Jeremy Corbyn, and
Communist.
he's pouring a pint. Shit. So you can't vote for Corbyn because you can't pull a pint. Fact.
Yeah. But did you see? This is where you're mental, Sean. Did you see what they were? Did you see what they were pouring?
Yeah, one was pouring Korschleit,
Yeah.
and the other one was pouring, I don't know, well, I'm going to go Heineken just because it's Amsterdam.
No, both pouring Coors Light, so can't trust either of them.
Yeah, good point. Go green.
We'll stop tap on that one. They're both shit.
Shit. Just say that.
Hang on, you've gone Robocop as fuck.
They say when it goes off, go Robocop.
Oh.
Well, that proper Robocop. Good.
You went full Robocop then.
I need to find that photo. That just reminded me. I'll find that photo and I'll send it to you. Just a quick one for you guys. So, in the military, use a term gen, basically being genuine.
One sec. You carry on talking.
Yeah, if you say I'm going to gen it, it means I'm telling the truth. And then basically, there's different versions of gen. So you've got gen, I'm telling the truth. Then you've got Scoff House gen, which basically means it's a rumor, etc., etc. If you really believe in your gen, you'll put the eyebrows on it. So you go, I gen that. If you end up telling a lie, you get your eyebrows shaved off, right? If you really, really believe in it, you'll say, I Robocop gen that, which means basically, if you're lying, you lose both eyebrows and they shave your head until it looks like Robocop.
No.
And one of my mates who does listen to the podcast, who is a former regiment gunner turned one paratrooper, got caught out with a Robocop gen, and he basically ended up looking like Robocop, and it went viral as well. So I'm going to try and find that photo for you. And I'm gonna name drop him as well because he deserves it, a little fucking rat fucker. Neil Udin with his fucking Robocop gen.
I know Neil.
You know Udin.
Yeah, I do. I know him. Quick talking point. Anyone watch The Irishman yet?
Not yet. We meant to off Netflix.
3 hours though.
Not yet though.
It's too long.
I'm gonna have to do that as a mini series.
Mini-series. What was it? How many bridges?
21.
You seen 21 Bridges?
That's with
In my life, I have, but not.
The Black
With
Panther.
the Black Panther.
The Black Panther.
I loved it. It was iconic. I loved it.
Unbelievable film.
It was an easy watch. It's one of them you could put it on in the background if you were at home, but it's still stunning.
You're going to be an easy podcast guest.
I love films.
She does accents as well, so you have to go do accents for you.
To be fair, you guys are actually lucky because I've got myself slipping into the Welsh accent. I can't help myself. Right, dudes.
Right. Okay. I've got.
Do it quick.
I've got
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut this in a minute.
I got two questions. Mason.
Yes.
Question 1.
No problem.
UFC The Ultimate Goal or any other promotions out there that you'd be like, yeah, I'll do
that? UFC is obviously the ultimate goal for anyone I think who wants to take it serious. Bellator is a brilliant organization, but like I've been to Bellator events, I've been to UFC events, and I just think UFC is sort of still a step above. But UFC would be the one I want to go to first, and then if I went somewhere else, all well and good. But my targets are all set in UFC.
Second question. What would... Okay, give me a dream fight. Prime you now.
Location or...
Prime you. Okay, so we're going to say it's not called the Principality Stadium, Wales, you're headlining. Anybody in your weight class now?
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Oh my God, I could have guessed. Do you know what I was going to guess? If you'd have said no location, I would have guessed Madison Square Garden or Vegas, and it would have been Khabib, 100%. And I could have got it right. So
Khabib Nurmagomedov. I can't say his second name.
Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, that's the one. Why? Because at the minute he is the greatest fighter in my division, and why would you ever want to do this sport unless you want to fight the greatest of all time? So I would love to have a go at crushing him, and I don't know. I'd have a go. Like, do you know what I mean? I'd run like a coward and jab the smoke out of him, but I'd love to have a chance fighting someone like that. And I think when you get
I think that takes us on to another podcast though, because I'd love to know how you'd beat him.
Oh. Don't tell all your secrets.
At the minute now, I think the mistake everyone makes is people get hesitant with the striking. The person who's done the best against him was what's his name? The estate agent. Alaquinta, aye.
Alaquinta, yeah.
But Alaquinta gave the best performance on a short notice fight because one, he just went out there with no sort of expectations to win. He just wanted to swing on him, and he landed on Khabib so many times. McGregor went in there and probably did a really poor performance because he was hesitant on striking and he got clipped. Whereas I think if he'd gone out there and just swung, I think he probably would have clipped him.
He said that in an interview as well, and his coach did. I think didn't Kavanagh mention that on the Rogan podcast, that they were too busy concentrating on his wrestling rather than.
Yeah, that's a fight, right, where you know you're going to get taken down. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get taken down. So all you need to work on is getting back to your feet and landing bombs on him. And it's not scrambling like you're going to escape because he's a snake. It's scrambling to cause damage and literally just sort of try and find a way to slide out and stop him doing anything that can be dangerous. Because as soon as you give him too much room, he chokes you out. So you just got to land as many bombs on him as you can, force him to take you down, and then hit him with as much damage as possible and expect eventually try and get him to slow down. But he doesn't really slow, so you're going to have to open him up a bit. So I think Ferguson could cut him on the bottom, and I think that could be the only way it's going to go. Otherwise, Khabib's just going to drag him out for 5.
The only person that I've seen, obviously opponent-wise, of Khabib is Tony that I've ever thought, you know what? I reckon.
Yeah, but Tony is the toughest fuck. Like, you have to kill him. That's why
it's not even that. Like, his jiu-jitsu is...
Yeah. I genuinely just want to see which one gasses first because they are two of them are literally like horses.
The only difference is, to everybody else, Tony will fight off his back.
I think as well, look, I think Khabib's only got 1 gear because no one pushes him out of his comfort zone. He's only got 1 gear. So if Ferguson can pull it out, he's the one going to do it. But I put my money on Khabib.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. If I was going to give me a tenner, sticking it on a fight.
There we go, Chris. Question for you, Darren, or Sean, go on in. If you were a fighter, where would you love to fight? Where's your dream venue to fight?
Old Trafford.
Oh, what a shout! What a shout!
Madison Square Garden, I think, for me.
Yeah, God,
see,
mate.
There are places I'd love to fight, Vegas or Madison Square Gardens, but I've always wanted to fight in Japan. Always.
I would hate that.
Pride.
What would I eat?
Pride style.
What would I eat out there?
Eat fucking sushi.
I hate fish.
I can't be going to fucking Japan and eat the fucking sushi, right?
Yeah, but it's not the same McDonald's as we have, mate. They're all different. Don't even do
It is. It literally is. It literally is.
What would I eat out there?
It ain't the same McDonald's in Amsterdam.
Abroad, they don't do sweet curry dip. And that's the best dip.
Bear in mind, right, she is a multi-experienced international fighter.
Yeah.
Went to Amsterdam and obviously had the munchies in the morning, standard.
Absolutely.
Went to get McDonald's breakfast. Those cunts don't do hash browns.
Exactly. Wrong in the head. Everywhere but us.
Everywhere but us.
It took 4 days to find a hash brown in fucking Amsterdam.
I love a hash brown.
Right, should we knock this one on the head then, guys? Let's do this again, because this is one of the best conversations I've had in a long time.
This is the first time ever, right? We've done a 2-part podcast. Both episodes have been 87 minutes long.
That's Mason's fault, man. He's a talker. He don't shut up.
It's brilliant. Talking people. Charisma, I've got.
No, you haven't.
Charismatic.
No, you're not.
Oh, I talked you in, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I wrote there in. She told me not charisma.
Sean, we've broke all sorts of records this time. So we've had the longest podcast.
The most animals in one podcast.
We've had the most swear words that Mason's ever said.
Not loud.
Yeah, they love it.
Oh, okay.
No, the most swear words that Mason's ever said in interviews.
I know.
The biggest heater.
All right, show me your heater before we go.
not even on. That's the thing.
Look at it. It's like a
Oh,
50-inch telly.
I need one for our bedroom.
Well, you can have it. Do you want it? You can have it.
It was given to me free, so you can have it.
Come here, Saf.
It mounts on the wall.
Everyone.
I've got a remote. You can change the colours.
And we've had the most dogs podcast ever. And we've also got Jesus.
Himself
Oh,
in the flesh.
I've got some stickers coming if you want some, Dan.
What do you mean? What
Granite Zero stickers.
What would I do with
the
them?
top of that Liam Gallagher poster you want to?
Hmm?
Put them everywhere. £14 for 126 stickers.
Why did
Oh, no.
you buy?
Post them to me. I'll
Yeah,
stick them
we'll
up
have some.
somewhere. I'll stick them on my door.
So I can give them out, obviously.
Yeah.
Send them to me. I'll check it on the door. I love.
We love a sticker.
We've covered my door in stickers because it's a bit
Definitely.
broke, so.
I'll get
I don't know why you've ordered that many stickers.
Well, because it was part of the package. You can't just buy one sticker.
Darren, you wait till you wake up and your car's been sticker bombed. Then what are you gonna say?
Also,
Saying you can't drive
just-
with 34.
just quickly, Mason, do you use CBD oil?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, right.
Sean's your man. I'm doing my best finger pointing now. He's just been sponsored by a CBD company. I don't know if you are sponsored, but if you want some,
If you want some, speak to me and I'll get him to hook you up.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. I'm sponsored by ISO Sport, but yeah, definitely. We love it. You know, it helps my sleep patterns when I go a bit in some. I can't say it.
Insomnia.
When I have it.
insomnia.
Yeah, but
Not to be confused with incest, which is what you were trying to say.
Yo,
This is well.
on that note, then.
All right, though, but
bye.
Here's what I had.
Say bye.
All right,
Oh,
Catch you
thank
soon,
you,
then, boys.
Thank you.
cheers, Mace. Mace, that was absolutely awesome. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Madison. That was brilliant.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Mental.
Mental health,
You didn't even get to that bit.
mental health,
We were
mental health.
recording, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in. It's going to be like, you don't stay up this late when you're on a work day with me.
Oh, don't worry about that, mate.
I've had a fucking brilliant time.
That was maybe my favourite podcast we've ever done.
So far. Yeah. He's fucking brilliant. He's my best mate now. Don't know if you knew that. Oh,
Yeah.
That fell out.
Ping him a message and get his mobile number, mate, because honestly, I reckon just send him a couple of messages every week.
Mate, he said to me before you came back, he was like, if you're struggling for any guests or anything like that, and you've got no one to come on, just ping me a message and I'll come straight on. I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah, he's.
Fucking.
I'll give you another example because he's not here now. He wasn't joking. Every time he comes into the restaurant, he asks to sit downstairs, so us guys in the kitchen don't know that he's there. Obviously, the waitresses
You guys will, yeah.
recognise him. They're like, "Your mate's downstairs," so we send him loads of food.
Yeah.
Because if he's in the restaurant, he can't be on a weight cut.
Yeah.
So we're like sending all the food down every single time. It's like, but you don't. No, but every time it's like, but I come in here because I like the food. I don't like, yeah, but we're trying to look after you, mate, because we think you're cool.
True. Well, dude, that's fucking brilliant. I'm well happy with that.
Well, that's a good Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah. I'm
I took-
busting.
I- Busting for a piss. I'm busting. Hang on.